All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Bo Gooch. I'm one of the officers at the unit, and we're just going to kind of do the same brief we did at our unit the other day for all our service members. And the purpose of this is for any spouses, significant others to ask any questions they have. So while I'm talking or while YN1 Banks is talking, she's in our admin department, just jump right in, say, "Hey, I got a question," and we'll stop and talk it. The whole point of this is to answer any questions that you have. If myself or YN1 don't have the answer, we'll get it. We'll get it back to you. So the forecast this year from NOAA is that this is probably going to be a fairly sporty hurricane season. There's more major hurricanes forecasted than there was last year. So what does that mean for us? Number one, we're not going to freak out because hurricanes come in the southeast all the time. But the best thing that we're going to talk about is just getting prepared now while everything is calm and relaxed and people aren't running to buy fuel or running to buy groceries. Now is kind of the time to get ready. Hurricane hazards. Of course, we know about the high wind. That's what we see on TV, everybody's house getting blown apart, or just crazy winds. But the most dangerous part for life is going to be storm surge, high water rising in when the hurricanes come in. So if you're near the ocean, if you're near the bay, if you're in a flood zone, that's why we want to make preparations now on what are we going to do, when are we going to leave, those kind of things. And we'll talk about some different zones for evacuation as we move along. We got watches and warnings. Watch is just that. It's going to be a little bit before the storm arrives, where we're starting. The forecasters really at that point are going to start narrowing down where exactly is the hurricane, the eye of the hurricane, going to hit. And then the warning is going to be once we're a little bit closer, within 36 hours of the hurricane actually coming in contact with land. Forecasting, I'm a career Floridian, but this is the slide most of us always use. But as you know, these things change quite a bit from the start of the hurricane forecast and that path to once we get closer to land. So the main thing, kind of keep your composure once it first comes out. If it shows us coming straight to Tampa, 3 or 4 or 5 days later, that could change a lot. So this is a good tool for just that forecasting and kind of having an idea. This is another tool that they use. This is wind arrival time. This is kind of a thing we use here at the air station. We call them hurricane conditions. The commanding officer, he'll go ahead and set different hurricane conditions, as will the district, and that will kind of equate to some of the work that we do in preparation on the base. One of the biggest things probably to talk when we're talking to spouses, depending on what your husband or wife's job or significant other's job is, being prepared to evacuate or take care of business, move kids, family, whatever it is, maybe without them there. The likelihood that we're going to have to move aircraft, if you're involved in the flight portion or the maintenance, the likelihood of moving and going when a hurricane comes is high. So just being prepared now, like we're saying, let's get those things prepared now. Let's start making a plan as a family and start to have an idea of what we're going to do. These are the different hurricane conditions we use at work. It's not really too important. We do have a hurricane preparation packet. I can send that out, and we also have it with the ombudsman. Danny has this information, and I'll pass it again to her and see if she can put it on Facebook and get it out to any of the spouses. So preparation is paramount. So we've been talking about knowing the kind of distance you can drive with your car, with the amount of fuel that you have. Do you have extra fuel? Food and water, this is a big thing. And the bigger your family is, the bigger these things get. But 3 to 7 days. There's also a lot of things you can do. When I was a kid, we used to fill up the bathtub with water. That's a ton of water. And if you have more than one bathtub, you can think outside the box a little bit here. Of course, having medication ready to go when it's time to hit the road. And then lodging. My wife and I kind of have a plan. If the hurricane is going to hit, depending on where it hits, we're either going to go north or south, obviously in Florida, but we go to St. Augustine if we need to go north. And then if we go south, we usually go somewhere down in the southeast, like in the Miami area, just to get out of the way. So kind of maybe having some preset ideas on places you like, places you got some friends, just so you can go. And also lodging if you have pets, just being aware of what's going on there with the pets. I'll keep moving. If you got questions, please fire away. Otherwise, I'm gonna just keep on going here. All right. Practice and identify weaknesses. This slide always makes me laugh, but we talk about packing up your car and how long is that going to take? I've got 4 kids, and packing the car to go to the beach is quite a process. So when it comes to this kind of thing, getting packed up and ready to go is a time-consuming thing. So, we started just to have a few bags ready of some clothes for 4 or 5 days, to have the kids ready to go to make it easy. And that kind of stuff will cut down on all your time. I don't think anybody's going to practice loading the car, but just being aware of, hey, I've got this much stuff and I've got this kind of car. What can I fit it in there? And then if you have important things in your house, valuables, pictures, whatever things that can't be replaced if the house floods or if there's damage, just knowing that's potential. All right, I'm going to keep going here. All right, this is a important slide here. These are different shelters in the Pinellas County area. Depending on where you live, whatever counties we're in here, we have people in all kinds of different counties from our air station. Just being aware, if you want to stay and maybe you're not comfortable with your home, maybe it's in a flood zone or whatever it is, there's plenty of places you can go. Once again, take a look at these. Sometimes they fill up quickly. Make sure if you want to go with pets, that they accept pets, or if you have special medical needs, do all this beforehand. And make sure you know what's going on. Evacuation zones is the other piece. You can go to all these websites. I'll go back to Pinellas County. If you go to the Pinellas County website, you can type in your address and it will tell you what evacuation zone you are in. There can be mandatory evacuations, and at that point you got to know what your zone is, and then you're going to have to leave if that happens. Just being aware of that and knowing what zone it is can give you some information as you kind of create your plan. All right, I'm going to keep going. Pasco County, Hillsborough County evacuation maps, obviously all around the water is going to be a higher risk for flooding. Manatee County. So the evacuation process. Number one, if you ever want to leave, you can leave at any time. The great thing about the Coast Guard is when these things happen, they take care of us. So if families, if there is an order given by the District 7 commander to evacuate, you are allowed to evacuate at that point, and the Coast Guard is going to cover the trip. Wherever, I'll let YN1 Banks talk about this here in a moment, but wherever you go, your family is going to get per diem. There's going to be lodging paid for, and it's all based off the government rate. Matter of fact, YN1, do you want to chime in here real quick?
Hi, sir. Yes, hope everybody can hear me okay. Yes, so as soon as we get the go-ahead from the district commander, families should definitely take advantage, get going right away, because as experience has shown is that those roads become heavy and loaded very quickly. And last year we had people sitting in traffic for hours, and then to the point where they ran out of fuel at all the stops. So please get on the road right away. Depending on the size and the direction of the storm, we last year had to increase our limitations even further out to get people further away from Florida and out of the danger zone. But the dynamic of your family will make up what you'll be authorized, but it's usually pretty spot on. There are some legal things where hotels are not supposed to increase prices, but we can't always control that. I think the biggest thing is being ready to go, having a plan, and trying to make those arrangements as soon as possible. I'm sorry, as soon as possible. As far as trying to book a hotel, your family dynamic is going to be, key to that. As a family, you're authorized to use other than normal lodging. So if you need to get that Airbnb because you got, a lot of pets, or you got certain kind of situation, you can do that. Just make sure that you have a good itemized receipt. But we can go into that stuff a little bit deeper, but that always comes up every year. When hotels start getting packed and full, and it happens very quickly. But yeah, we do have good lodging rates, and We can always request higher amounts depending on the situation, but the key is having a plan, booking those reservations early, um, and just remember that initially um, that cost comes up front when you're charging it to your credit card. So making sure you are answering the phones when PST calls and starts asking questions so we can start building a case file for you to get those reimbursements as soon as possible.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
This is Renelle. I'm Sawyer Man's wife. My question is reimbursement going to be the same even if we travel out of state? Like, for example, if I want to go where family is so I can have help with pets and childcare and get an Airbnb out of Florida, is that still going to be reimbursed the same?
There is a mileage limitation.
Oh, okay.
There is a normal, I'm trying to look up what the mileage limitation is. I know last year we extended it to 500 or 550, something like that. And I do believe the
Okay.
normal mileage is 300 or 350. I'm trying to look up the mile distance.
Okay. It's something I can look up. I didn't know there
Oh,
was a mileage. I can just look that up.
I can find out the exact answer with the mile, and we will push this out to everybody because no one's going to remember this when it's actually happening. But we have a normal area of mileage, and I think it's somewhere in like 300, 350. I'm trying to get that to come up right now. But
Okay.
if the storm, like last year, Hurricane Milton was so big and its route was so vast that we actually had to extend that even further. But I can't remember exactly what the mileage is right now. I'm trying to bring that information up, but I will get you an answer to that. But yes, that will set your distance. So let's say that the normal mileage is 500 miles. You are supposed to stay within that and wherever you go to. So if you're going to Miami, it's whatever Miami's per diem rate is. If you're going to Jacksonville, it's whatever Jacksonville's per diem rate. Let's say that you're going to Atlanta, Georgia, and that's beyond the 500 normal range, then it's limited to a standard per diem rate. But we can actually put that all together so that you know those differences in rates right away. And then also what the mileage parameter is, like the normal mileage parameter. So
Cool.
you're going to have
Thanks.
a different rate depending on where you go to.
All right, good question. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll keep moving forward here. All right, and then just to kind of continue with the hurricane talk here, we talked to all our service members after the storm passes. If you're not from here, if you've never experienced this before, there can be all kinds of things. Everything's going to be torn up. I remember coming back last year. There are power lines down, there's trees down. I think I even brought a chainsaw with me because my neighborhood is in trees all over the place. So just like we tell all our service members, be smart coming back. There's no rush to get back. Come back when you're ready to come back. And then, of course, like YN1 said, keep your receipts. And YN1 and the admin team, they take care of everybody really well. They did a ton of work last time, just taking care of every single person. This is more for our service members, but if we have any text messages that come out, we just ask that the service member responds to those as soon as possible. It's very important. We use this for accountability, for safety. It just has to happen. This is more service member related things about being accountable, the things we deal with at work. Accountability is very important. This is pretty much the end of my brief. Big thing that we talk about is just staying cool and calm, because you will see that everybody, or the majority of the people, are going to go bananas when one of these hurricanes is coming. So that's all I have. XO, if you've got anything, or I see the CO maybe on here, if anyone else wants to add anything, or if there are any other questions, we're here for you.
And I will absolutely get a list of the per diem local kind of areas that we normally end up going to. So kind of people have an idea of how to figure it out. If you know somebody, let's say in Orlando, and that would be your normal evacuation zone if it works out for you. That way you kind of familiar of how to find out what the rate is in Orlando or Miami or Jacksonville, which are definitely areas within our AOR. and also what the mileage limitation normally would be. I'll get that packet put together for everybody.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we've got a hand raised here. If someone's got a question, fire it off. We're ready.
Hi there, this is Joanne, David McCown's wife. How do spouses who aren't on the email list like get this information? Because I only got this information because David came home and said there's a preparedness thing, and I looked in the Facebook group where it was posted, and there was no link there.
Okay, I will talk with Danny as our ombudsman, and I'll make sure we've recorded this session, and we have another one that is recorded as well. And I'll double check with her about getting that updated on the Facebook to make sure all the other spouses can get it, because you've got the cheat code with the boss. He knows everything that's going on.
But yeah, so how do we make sure that anyone new who came in this summer or whatever else people have transferred in, how do we make sure that spouses have access to this information and are aware of these meetings?
Yeah, we passed all this information out the other day in our meeting as a group for the air station, and then we'll upload it to Facebook, and then we can have Danny reach out to any of the new service members and families that have arrived to touch base.
That would be great, because I am positive if anyone's spouse is anything like mine, I promise you, this is an anomaly that I got this information this evening. So y'all aren't good at bringing the information home for us.
I know, I've heard the same. Yes, ma'am. So we'll definitely, I will talk with her, package this up, and we'll get it on Facebook, and then we'll work on just passing it out as best we can through Facebook. All right. Any other questions? All right. That's all I've got. If anyone else, if you got anything to add, I don't know if you're hanging out, or ladies, if you have any other questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll call it an evening, and we'll see what happens as the hurricane season progresses along.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Frank. Appreciate it.
All right. Roger that. Thank you, sir. All right. Everybody have a good evening. Good night.